Now, Subhash Bijlani of University of Maryland University College continues the conversation with India's famous lawyer and politician, Ram Jethmalani.
Mr. Jethmalani, my name is Subhash Bijlani, and I'm very excited to be with you in more ways than one. Not only I admire the views that you have and the life that you have led, but there is something else that binds us other than the similarity of thoughts and outlook.
Doubtless.
My family came away from Sindh, from Sakhar, where you also practiced, I hear.
Not in Sakhar. I was educated in Sakhar.
In Sakhar.
But I practiced in Karachi.
My father was sessions judge at that time, and I was only 5 years old. So I have some vague memories of that movement. Beyond your personal life, and you talked about this great lost opportunity that we have had of Pakistan and India coming together, I want to talk to you as we are here now from India-US World Affairs Institute, and there is a trade delegation that has come from the governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley. And we see that there is a movement now between Indian and US relationships to take this relationship beyond federal government and central government. And we are beginning to see state to state. In other words, we are going to see some more granular interaction, deepening of this interaction. So my question to you is that if you look back since independence, our checkered history with the United States, and you see starting from CENTO and other alliances, military alliances that United States has with Pakistan, we have always found ourselves on the opposite sides between India and United States. However, the hype is about the largest democracy and the oldest democracies coming together. But the geopolitical reality of neighboring nations is such that we have not always been on the same side. Going forward, how do you see this relationship developing? There's a strategic relationship between India and US. Do you think it's durable?
Look, there have been faults on both sides. The US foreign policy from 1947 onwards, when India became independent, has unfortunately been controlled wholly by the exigencies of the Cold War. What the Americans did not realize, which Gandhiji had realized long ago, that the purity of an objective is totally frustrated by the impurity of the means to achieve it. Now, I am quite sympathetic that America wanted to safeguard itself, its interests, and they wanted some strong alliance against the Soviet Union, both nuclear powers, and they entered into alliances which, according to me, were immoral. But at the same time justified on the expediency if you exclude morals from diplomacy. I am very happy today to know that the Americans have realized that their alliances with these kind of tin-pot dictators all over the world were totally wrong. And no wonder that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh of India, when in 2005 or so they met President Bush, they said that we are now partners not only in the war against terrorism, which the earlier Prime Minister had created, but he said now we are partners in the task of propagation of democracy, increasing the territory of democracy, and conferring the blessings of democracy on all people who desire to have those benefits.
So if you think that the earlier alliances were not based on moral high grounds, what drives you to think today that this new relationship is based on that moral ground?
Today you see how Pakistan has degraded itself. To us, the most important political arrangement which irks India is between US and Pakistan. Now today Pakistan has made it almost clear that their fight against terrorism is sham. No wonder the Americans are using the drones to kill Osama bin Laden. Does anybody doubt that Osama bin Laden's hideout was completely known to Pakistan government? And the Americans are no fools. They have not realized it. And now they are using drones. And you don't have to capture Osama bin Laden and give him a fair trial. Drones is the only way of killing him. I'm glad that the fellow has been killed.
He probably wouldn't have got a Jethmalani as a criminal lawyer.
No, if he had been captured by Indians and brought here alive, maybe I might have agreed to defend him.
But taking this thought a little forward, and if this be so, if this is right, that now there is a realization that has dawned, and therefore now we are becoming close on some more durable grounds than just expediency that you mentioned. How do you see going forward this relationship will evolve?
This relationship can mature into a much more intimate relationship, but the fault is Indian. India is at fault because when you are dealing with an ally to whom you look for security, you look for trade relations, you look for nuclear power and so on and so forth, then you have also to accommodate your self-interest to their interest. Today I have no doubt that the greatest blunder of the civilized world is to see that Iran develops a nuclear weapon. It's not a question of community, it's not a question of Hindu or Muslim. Iran is the promoter of Hezbollah. If you are a promoter of a terrorist movement, it is in the interest of the whole world that you should not have nuclear weapons. Someday, some terrorist will acquire the nuclear arms, and one nuclear weapon in the hand of a terrorist can bring the whole world to ransom. I wish you read a book called The Fifth Horseman. Mm-hmm. It's written by one of the Lapierre chaps, who wrote the history of Dominic Levy. One atom bomb came in the hands of a terrorist organization, and the whole of the United States didn't know where it is going to explode, what should be done, how to safeguard the people. Now, if the terrorists acquire an atom bomb or a nuclear bomb, you see what these terrorists in Pakistan are saying, that next time our war will be a nuclear war. If you don't allow us water, we will make blood flow. And this time it is going to be a nuclear war. And I have written today in my article telling them that you fools, you are only fulfilling the biblical philosophy, biblical prediction of Armageddon.
So do you feel that the India-US relationship, the way it is getting formed, will provide the strategic alternative as a counterforce to kind of...
I have no doubt today that India's foreign policy requires that we must have a treaty of mutual defense with Russia as well as the United States. Attack on anyone will be considered as an attack on the other, and we will give all military assistance to each other.
Moving on from strategic alliance, there has been a development in which we now see a country like India, which was closed for so many years, suddenly talking about open economy and liberalization. On the other hand, for those of us who spend time in the United States, we see there is a lot of movement of inward looking and closeness that is coming. How would you see this relationship is going to unfold? And specifically, I want to ask you whether you think that in this environment of openness, how would you react if legal services were open to foreign competition?
I personally think that this meltdown, which the economic meltdown which the Americans are suffering from, is temporary. America is too great a country and it's too vast an economy to ultimately completely succumb to this kind of a thing. It will not happen, out of question. But economic collaboration between India and the United States will save the US government from selling their bonds to the Chinese. You have made yourself vulnerable to Chinese action in the economic field. Please impress upon your government that today China is in a position to almost make you rock for a while. Put an end to that. And I spoke the other day at the Pakistan High Commissioner's meeting when the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, that girl Hina, had come here. So he asked me to say a few words, and the Chinese ambassador was sitting there. And I told her, I said, Madam Foreign Minister, be sure that China is not your friend. And China is going to ultimately swallow you up, but before they swallow us up, they will swallow you. You have already given a portion of Kashmir to them. I mean, it's absurd. And the people of Pakistan don't bother at all that 1/5 of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, is now in the occupation of the China and given it away for good, as if a gift has been made to them. That is why I say that your love of even Kashmir is only an excuse for fighting India. So everything is on the right course, but public opinion must assert in both countries to accept one principle, that democracies of the world must learn to sink or swim together. This should be an action of foreign policy. And if you find that in the United Nations today, you are subject to the actions of a majority of non-democratic countries, please have a new United Nations of democratic countries only. Ignore this. Let them stew in their own juice.
What would you like to suggest to the next government that comes in for next 3 years? What agenda would you set for them, both in the domestic policy?
Strengthen the bonds with the United States, the most powerful democracy of the world. Strengthen your bonds with all democracies of the world. Unite the democracies on a common platform. Treat with others as fairly as you can, but our preference is that democracies have to survive.
This has been absolutely exciting discourse with you, Mr. Jethmalani. And some of us wish that we live as long as you do and are as energetic as you are.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you. Thank you.